Hello, let's take a look at some concentration examples. Example 1 asks how much drug should be used in preparing 125 milliliters of a solution such that 15 milliliters diluted to 250 milliliters will yield a 1 to 50 solution. Step 1, you want to calculate how many grams in 250 milliliters will make a 1 to 50 solution. Now, 1 to 50 ratio can also be expressed as 1 gram over 50 milliliters equals x over 250 milliliters. Pretty much you want to solve for x, which is the grams that would be needed in 250 milliliters to have the concentration of 1 gram per 50 milliliters. Next, you want to find out how many drugs will be in the 15 milliliters so that when that 15 milliliter is diluted, it will yield a 1 to 50 solution of 250 milliliters. This one doesn't need any calculation, it's just a concept. If the amount of drug in 15 milliliters is diluted to 250 milliliters, the amount of drug does not change. Therefore, 15 milliliters would also have 15 grams of drug. So pretty much any amount of liquid you add to a certain amount of grams, let's just say 5 grams for this example. If you add 15 ml to 5 grams, there's still 5 grams of water, or 5 grams of the drug. If you add 100 milliliters to 5 grams of drug, you still have 5 grams of drug. So that's the same concept here. For step 3, you want to do proportions to calculate the amount of drug needed in 125 milliliters of solution that would have the same concentration as the 15 milliliters. We found the concentration of 5 grams over 15 milliliters. You want to solve for x over 125 milliliters, and you get 41.67 grams. When that concentration can also be expressed as 5 grams per 15 milliliters. Let's look at example 2. A hospital pharmacist wants to use 3 lots of zinc oxide ointment containing respectively 60%, 30%, and 10% of zinc oxide. In what proportion? It's important to note that it's asking for proportion. Should they be mixed to prepare 20% zinc oxide ointment? For this one, you want to set up the allegation grid. You want to put the percent of higher strength on the top left, the percent of the lower strength on the bottom left, and the percent of desired in the middle box. You want to then insert the information into the corresponding parts of the grid. However, for this problem, you need 2 allegation grids are required. The highest strength of the 3 lots was 60%, and the lowest strength was 10%, and you're trying to make it 20%. This would be the first grid. The second grid would include the second highest concentration, which is 30%, and again, on the lower part, you'd have 10%. And again, you're trying to make it 20%. For step 4, you want to subtract the higher and lower strengths from the desired strength. So 60 minus 20 would equal 40 parts. 10 minus 20 equals 10 parts. And then for the second grid, you want to do the same. 30% minus 20% equals 10 parts, and 10% minus 20 parts equals 10 parts. Then you want to add the 10% parts together. So that would be this 40 parts of 10% and this 10 parts of 10%. You would get a total of 50 parts of 10%. Now asked you respectively for the proportion. So you have 10 parts of the 60%, 10 parts of the 40%, and 50 parts of the 10%. Next, you want to reduce the parts. These can also be reduced or expressed as 1 to 1 to 5. So that would be 1 part of the 60%, 1 parts of the 30% and 5 parts of the 10%. Thank you.